All right.
It's okay. You can go. We're not.
Okay. Yep. Awesome. All right. Hello, Amsterdam. Woo! Woo! Yeah, that's awesome. Last conference of the night. Yeah. Okay. So I'll try to keep this like less boring so that like you don't just like start coming onto the stage and say, hey man, just get out of here. All right. So let's get started. So my conference today will be how we can improve our UX and like take it to the next level with React's new suspense and concurrent mode. So before starting in, for those who don't know me, hey, I'm Nikhil. I am a software engineer at Postman. I mostly handle stuff around the design systems at Postman, Postman on the web, and the rest of platform. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on GitHub as well. The links, the handles are there. So I'd love to connect. So before starting in, let me just quickly tell you what the plan for the talk today is, what we're going to cover. So today we are going to discuss these 4 key things in this talk, which will be, number 1, how do we write code today in React, and what problem does it introduce, which is a waterfall problem, and how Suspense actually solves this. Secondly, we're going to see how we can actually start prefetching our components in the background while we are like on some other screen. We can actually start preparing our next screens which are like not visible using React's concurrent mode. Thirdly, we're going to totally like remove all that plain old janky spinner loader experience with a really cool hook called use transition. And last but not the least, we're going to see how we can actually control our loading behavior using a very nice component called suspense list. So yeah, let's start this road to a great UX together. All right, so before starting in, this statement is like really close to my heart, which is loading stuff is hard, right? Period. How many of you guys like use like the hooks which actually have this loading indication? You make these API calls, and then you have this Boolean variable. If nothing is loaded, you show a loader. If like everything's loaded, you show your normal UI on the screen. How many of you guys do this? Come on. Almost everyone. Come on, dude. We are all ancient guys. So we all know that how that happens. And most of the times, I think we are into this technical mumbo jumbo of this thing, but we actually start creating, in often cases, some suboptimal user experience. So for example, if you see like this small GIF, it like shows you a succession of loaders, like you're loading something, then something else, and then finally your user sees something on the page. So we want to like, based on this, we want to actually think upon 2 very big questions that I think. So first is, like, how many spinners do you actually want to show? So if you have a ton of asynchronous work, a ton of API calls, do you just simply want to show a loader for each of them, or like, can you skip some of them? And second thing is, if you like, do you need to actually show a spinner every time? Like, if you know that your client is going to be on a faster connection, do you want to show him a spinner for those few microseconds? I don't think that's a good idea. So with this now, actually see how we code right now. So imagine this is our React component tree. We have a parent. Let's say this parent is actually making some API calls. And since it has not finished its stuff, it is not going to start rendering its children. Obviously, like you are like rendering a loader in this state, you're saying, hey, loading something. But your children are not loaded. The components still are not loaded. Now, once the parent completes its work, now we remove our loader, we render our children, and then you start loading your static children. Some children might now start their loading, like they might start with their API calls, because once the parent has done something, then only you're going to render your children, right? And if your children, in fact, are doing some async work, they have to start that async work when our parent finishes. And that's actually a problem of Waterfall. So it would have been a better experience if your parent as well as all those children could have started the async work together, right? Why is the children waiting for the parent to finish? It could have started things async. So like if the loading finishes, you then get all your UI back. So like the experience is like loading something and then, hey, you are on the page. All right, so this is like actually, this is a very common code snippet that we all write, yeah? there's your use effect. You fetch something till you have not fetched. You show like a loading screen. If you fetch something, then you show your like actual UI. Like if you see like in this code snippet, there is this some other component. So you're not gonna render this some other component by the time your current parent has finished its work, right? Because at that time you're gonna show a loader, right? Now can we do better with this approach? Like can we make this a little better for our UX? So yeah, it's not a suspense, but actually it is. I don't know what to say. So let's see actually how suspense for data fetching actually solves this problem for us. Now we have the same UI. Now the parent is actually loading something, but what suspense would do it would say, hey, you're loading something. Ah, that's fine. I'll just go to your children and I'll see what I can do next. So it will, by the time your parent is loading, it's not gonna wait for your parent to complete. What it's gonna do is this. It's gonna start preparing those children that are already ready. So now you see your second children, the second child of this parent has actually started their async work altogether. So now your parent as well as your child are fetching something in parallel. So now once everything is ready, React is gonna render everything. It's gonna start its commit phase, and it's gonna actually render everything on a flash on the DOM. And that's how suspense for data fetching is gonna work for us. So that's how suspense for data fetching works. Now, to refactor that code a little bit, now you'll be able to see that we don't have any use effects, right? I'm having a resource, I'm just fetching it, and in my return statement, I'm using resource.read. I'm not having any sort of a fallback. I'm not using .then or like, I should have some async behavior, right? I'm just like leaving it all to suspense that, hey, I have some async work, I'm doing it. If you don't find it, go do other stuff. If you find it, render this thing back. So suspense does everything for you, async. It does not have to wait. All right, so far so good. Let's start with some small coding. I hope my screen is visible, right? Yeah, so if you see, there's this small Twitter app that I created. On the left, you're gonna see the same app running in synchronous mode, like having that waterfall problem that we have right now. And on the right-hand side, you see the same app with concurrent mode. I'm like actually gonna remove this synchronous mode. I'm gonna go to concurrency, and I'll just show you that it has this small profile section. It shows my name, my designation. I go to this about me section. It tells me something more about myself. I also have this tweet section. If I click on this next tweet, it shows me a small loader, and that it fetches some tweet for me. All the guys who've started opening their phones and checking if I tweeted this is a contrived example. Don't go checking Twitter. I've not tweeted this. So yeah, so this is the small demo. Let's actually skip into the code. Yeah, hope the code is visible to everyone. All right, awesome. So let me just show you. There's this description, our about me page, and this is actually using the same thing that I actually showed you earlier. So we have a resource. We are actually not using any use effects or component did mounts. I'm just reading my resource here, and I'm expecting suspense to handle everything. I've just rendered the data. It's not my headache. Suspense should handle this. Now let's see how this description is actually rendered in my concurrent tab. So I have a lot of these suspense blocks, and there is another suspense which has a fallback called spin, and my description is rendered there. Now let's say you have some static content, it's not going to be always async, right? You're going to also have some static thing. Now let's say I have a small div, some static content, right? And I save this inside the suspense block, and you'll be thinking that, hey, it's cool. I go to my about me section. I see this loader, and you might be now seeing the problem. Now I had some static content, but why am I showing the loader for the whole about me? I should have just showed the loader where it was required, which is just my description. So the thing is, you should, as a developer, decide how you want to have a control over your UI. So you don't want suspense to actually handle this. You want to make this come out, something like this. So basically now, it's a very small technique. It's a very small thing, but now it gives the user a better experience, because now you're having something on the page. Now the user only sees the loader where it is actually important. So suspense actually gives you a more control over what exactly do you want to load in your app. And you just don't want to blatantly show a big ton of loaders in the screen, right? Okay, so so far so good. It's okay, not much, but okay, small sort of an improvement. Now let's actually try to make another scenario. Now, what if I have like I want to show some more description. I go to this suspense block. Let me add, or like let me just copy this down. Oh, oops. I copy this suspense, and I have a component called meta description, which gives some more description about my description, stuff like that. Let me just save this. Now I go to my about me section. You see, I see now 2 loaders because we have 2 suspense blocks. Now it shows me my description, and it also shows me this nice small text. Now this text says that you should have like noticed that in my description there's this small typo called portman, and it says that hey, it's it's postman, not portman. Now like what I'm trying to say is, wouldn't it be like semantically better if the second text, which is this should arise later than my description, because only then it makes sense. Like if you are rendering this sentence first, why would the user care? Like the user should be able to see the problem first, which was the spelling problem in the description, and then the other text should arrive. So that is the analogy. Like at some point you want to control like what do you want to load first. So this can actually be solved using suspense list. So now actually what we are trying to do is, at any point of time, like no matter what loads first, we first want to show the description, and then we want to show the next statement. And we don't care about like what loads first. We are caring about the order. So if I wrap this inside I do suspense list, and I do reveal order, and I just set it to forwards. All right, I close this, and this needs to be here. Okay, now let's see what happens. I'll refresh real quick. I go to about me. Now you see 2 loaders, but it's never going to happen that you see the second sentence first. Now you have a better control over what is the order of what you want to reveal first to the users, right? So it's never going to be the case that the second sentence arises first. It's going to be either both of them at a flash, or the first will arise first, right? You know what I'm saying. So yeah, so far so good. There's this small improvement in the UI that we are able to see. Okay, so back to our presentation. Okay, so just the key takeaways. So we actually have more control over the loading states now. With suspense, we can see what parts of the app need a loader, what parts of the app do not need a loader at all. You also have like parallel rendering of your UI because of suspense, because now it does not wait for your parent to finish work for your child to start something. You can do the things async. And thirdly, third but not the least, no need of is loading, is fetched, no sorts of variables required now. All right, so far so good. We have achieved something, yeah. Okay, now can we do even better? Okay, that's a hard question. I haven't prepared the slide for this. I'm kidding. Okay, so now for this second phase, let's actually see how React works now. I think all of us are familiar of this small bar that we have. So let's say you have a user event. You're typing something in a search bar. You have this user event come up in between, and the user event realizes that, hey, React has not finished rendering yet. So React is already blocked on something else, which means React right now has an uninterruptible render phase. So we already know that, yeah, your user is not going to realize this. Like your user is not going to say that, hey, I understand, I'll click after some time. Okay, but no. So the user is going to do something like this. It's going to keep on clicking your keyboard, and you're going to have user events in between, and the user is going to see, oh, my app is stuck. I don't know what React is, but something is stuck. And we all know like who our users are, right? What you you want your users to use your app in some way, but they always seem to surprise us. So yeah, we have to like actually surpass the expectations of our users. We have to like do a lot better for them. So now you would say that, hey, Nikhil, come on, we have debounce, like what you are talking, like take your laptop back. We all know this. But now the problem would be, if you would debounce, your user would say that, hey, I'm typing something, but my list is not updating. I want a real-time updation of my list as I type. So debounce is also having this limitation here. It's like not able to help the purpose. So what we want is to actually start doing things in parallel that I talked about. So we also want the user to keep typing, and we also want the list to keep updating as well. So how we can like do this? Obviously, yeah, that enters concurrent mode. So now with this concurrent mode, the things become a lot simple. Now this big yellow brick breaks down whenever React thinks that it has to cater to something which is of more priority. So React will now see that, hey, there's a user event. I just need to stop my rendering. I need to cater to this user event, and now I can like go back. So it's like sort of parallel things, but it's more of context switching. So it feels like it's parallel. Yeah. So meaning of concurrent actually is like it has two different aspects. So one is like you can have a CPU bound concurrent effect, which means the same thing as a user typing. So this is a CPU bound instance of a concurrent mode. And second thing, like concurrent mode can be IO bound, which is input output bound, which means I can start rendering things in parallel. If like you are on a profile page, I can start rendering in parallel add to cart page if the user is not there as well. So the user does not see a loader at all if he or she like stays some time on the first profile section. So we are doing things in parallel. We are fetching all of the things, all our like app assets and all the components in parallel while the user is on some other page. So again, async. All right, back to code again. So now I'm going to switch on to synchronous mode. I'm going to hit a refresh. And now let me like show you how synchronous mode is working right now. So you see the app on the left is synchronous, app on the right, concurrent mode. Let's see the difference. I've already enabled the concurrent mode on the right app. So if I go to About Me section, what do you think will happen? Obviously, the waterfall, right? You're going to see a loader, and then the description is come up. So I click on this. I have a nice loader, and then the description will come in some time. Yeah, now it comes in. Yeah. If I go to tweets, again, we see a nice loader, and then my first tweet is going to arrive. So you see, like, when we are going to the tab, we are then starting fetching things. But by this time, when I was showing this demo, on the right-hand side, when this app, React Concurrent app was open, it had actually started fetching all of the stuff in background. And now, we should not see any loader at all. Now, let's see how that goes. So let's see, let's carefully see if I now go to the About Me section on the right, what happens. Oh, no loader. It's like seems it was there, yeah? So like your user did not see that loading screen at all. Okay, now what happens if I go to the tweet section? Am I going to see a loader? Let's find out. Oh, no loader. All right, we have something now. Now, basically, if your user opened this application on the right, which is concurrent mode, he or she would think, like, this app is super fast, man. It seems like I did not need any internet for this. But actually, it's concurrent mode, which has only done stuff for you, yeah? Also, now, I also see this nice loader. Like, if I click on this next tweet, there's another loader that is left. So it like shows you another loader. It loads the next tweet, and it displays it on the screen. Let's try to remove this. Like, basically, if the thing is, if your user is on a faster connection, why do you want to show a loader for like a few milliseconds? Because the user can wait for that. Like, you can be just don't show the loader. Like, stay on the screen, don't show the loader at all. The user won't mind at all. So let's try to do a similar thing. So in this tweet list component, as I've already commented out, there's this hook called use transition, and it asks me for a timeout of 2 milliseconds. So what this means is I am telling them that if the time, if it takes more than 2 seconds to load something, do show a loader. But if the time is less than 2 seconds, just stay there, don't show anything. So I have this. So I get a start transition function here. So this is the button on which I'm doing all the set state and stuff. Let's wrap this. Under start transition, it accepts a cool function, and you can wrap all of these things, like setting your state, doing all your logic inside your start transition. And also there's this is pending prop, which tells that is the stuff done or is it not done. So let me just show you I'll just disable this button based on this is pending prop. Okay, so now if I go to my tweet section now and I press this next tweet button, it should wait for 2 seconds. It will wait if the content is loaded within these 2 seconds. It will not show you any loader. And if it takes more than 2 seconds, it will now show you a loader. So let's see. Like, I click on this next tweet, it stays there, and the next tweet arrives. So basically, we have actually removed all the loaders in every page in the app. So I click on this once again, no loader. I just see the tweet as an instant, as if it was already there, kind of. All right, we have actually achieved something. So basically, another key points there. So concurrent mode switches tasks in priority for you, so it actually feels like it's async. Secondly, it does not block the main thread because obviously context switching. So it's gonna switch things based on what is more important at that time. And also high performance by default, because you don't have to worry about this at all. You get all these features baked in. You just have to do one thing, switch to concurrent mode. That's it. Now is this production ready? And I'm super excited about the next slide because, woohoo, React 18 is now there. We can all use this. Awesome. So yeah, I would like highly recommend if we all try this out and use all the new features. It's actually great. I've really experimented this with this a lot of times. So it's actually great. I would highly recommend trying it out. So now with this talk, like, do we come to a finish? Is it all when it comes to a user experience? And I would say no. The user experience thing is a very vast topic. So I would like highly recommend you check out Relay. I think Relay has been like using Suspense for data fetching for a long time now. So Relay has actually experimented a lot with Suspense for data fetching as well. So I think if the guys who are using Relay, I think you guys know the magic. So there are also concurrent UI patterns that are also there in React's website, which is use deferred value. I really like this hook. It's actually great. And also, and not the least, React 18 blog post. You guys would love it. So with this, actually, end my talk. On a side note, we're hiring at Postman. So we're actually building like really like cool stuff at Postman. So if you guys would want to join in, feel free to come out, reach out to us via the careers page. All right. So with this, I would like to close in without taking much of your time. I really like admire all of you guys to like sit in with this last talk. I know like it's gonna be drowsy. I know, man. I got you. But yeah, thanks a lot to all the audience, all the folks who have like made this conference a big success. You guys are awesome. Yeah. All right, that's it from my side. Thanks a lot.